So you admit that the Holy Spirit has a personal dimension in the same way that God does. So now,
because it's an aspect of God.
Okay, and that aspect is a personal aspect? Is it a personal aspect that it can interact with God?
In the way that God interacts with himself, yes.
So when God interacts with himself, is he really interacting in a way that there is a differentiation within God so that these different aspects, they are personal aspects that truly interact, or are you saying God is a schizophrenic?
It's a multiple personality disorder. Maybe that's more like it. Dissociative identity disorder is characterized by the presence of at least two distinct and relatively enduring personality states. So that's much more, I think, what we're talking about here. Dissociative identity disorder, DID. So maybe that's what Sam means here. And if that's the case, then that's the Trinity. Because it believes in at least two persons. Right? The presence of at least two distinct and relatively enduring personality states. So that seems like that's the Trinity.
Neither. It's a way in which that in reality it's not actually happening, but it's a thing.
Oh, so it's fake. It's not reality. So
can
God.
You let me finish my sentence, please?
Not if you're going to get animated.
Polite.
Don't get animated.
I thought you were going to be polite.
You say, "Oh, it's fake." That's not what he says. It's allegory. Allegory doesn't mean, it's not fake allegory. Maybe he doesn't know what allegory means. Let me look it up. What I thought it meant, allegory, a story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one. Pilgrim's Progress is an allegory of the spiritual journey. So Pilgrim's Progress is a famous Christian story, and supposedly it revealed some sort of moral lesson. So that's not fake. It's not fake to say that. This is maybe he doesn't know what the word allegory means. Maybe you know I keep looking at stuff. He's so confident in things he said. He's just very confident, and it makes me go, do I know what words mean? I have to look it up. And so at least I found out schizophrenia was not exactly what I was thinking it was. So I did get to correct myself on that and find out that we were actually talking about DID. I think is really what the Trinity comes down to.
Let me finish my sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not that that God is talking to himself in reality, because God has no reason to talk to himself in reality. All that this is the rabbis teaching us lessons about God by
Josh, you know I cut you off, right?
To himself.
Josh, you know I cut you off because you repeated the same point 5 times.
But you haven't refuted what I've said. You haven't actually argued against the point I've made.
Yes, I have, because you said God is not speaking in reality. So let me repeat my objection. So when God gives you, the Jew, the impression that the Spirit is speaking and interacting with him, you're saying that's not reality. So he's play acting. You said it's not reality. So what lesson am I supposed to learn without your rabbis brainwashing me to say, no, this is not real? If I read the text and I have the Spirit interacting with you and with God, and God is an active Spirit, without your rabbis brainwashing me.
This is the rabbis.
Without the
rabbis. You're quoting the rabbis.
Are you cutting me off? No, I'm quoting.
Everything you're quoting, where you're talking about the Holy Spirit does this and the Holy Spirit does that, this is Midrash. It's not actually in the text of the Hebrew Bible. So what are you talking about? Getting rid of all the rabbis and not letting them brainwash you? You're the one who keeps bringing up the rabbis and reading the text of the rabbis. You're trying to brainwash yourself. We're not trying to give the rabbis. The whole thing is Trinity in the Bible, but we haven't gotten to Trinity in the Bible. All we've gotten so far is Midrash. And then you seem to not quite understand how Midrash works. You seem very confused about it, or you're intentionally being thick-headed about it and making it seem like he's crazy. I guess that's your intention, to make him feel like he's going crazy. I guess you're doing a good job. I think most of us are a bit befuddled by this debate approach of yours.
Quoting their admission, the Spirit speaks. Now, their explanation is not what I'm endorsing. Do you understand the difference? No. Okay, so let me repeat.
Who's saying
now
that?
You're cutting me off.
This?
Okay,
Rabbi Hanina says it. In the passage you have right there. Rabbi
What did he say?
The Torah says in her left hand, which is an honor, and in her right hand, length of days.
What did he say? Where did he say this is not reality?
because it's a love to inherit substance. That's his interpretation.
Where does he say it's not reality?
But maybe he's not listening. That's the problem. Where does it say it's not reality? You asked him to explain this. You keep trying to force him to say this is in reality, and he's telling you that a midrash is an allegory, which is not something that literally happens. It's not something that happens in real life. That's why it's not reality. That doesn't mean it's fake. It means it's giving it a lesson. I don't even know why this is an issue for you. Jesus gives parables. Isn't a parable like an allegory? He tells these stories, gives some sort of moral lesson. I mean, it's not that hard to understand. You've got it in your own your own New Testament scriptures. But you're acting like you're just being like well, I don't really get this. Why? You're trying to force him to interpret this literally, and the problem is it's not meant to be interpreted literally. That's not how you read this story. Do we take Jesus and Jesus parables and interpret them literally? Or the people he mentions in there, are they literally real people who existed at that time? Or is it a story?
Where did he say it's not a reality?
He's interpreting the left hand as one thing and the right hand as another thing. No?
Well, my right hand is not my left hand. But where did he say when the Spirit responds and says, to cause those who love me to inherit substance? Where does he say that's not reality, huh?
Oh, so is he confused? I don't think that's actually in Proverbs 3:16 or 17. And the Holy Spirit responds and says that's not literally in Proverbs 3:16 and 17. What is he asking? How does this guy? This is a very frustrating conversation, and we're having this conversation, but we're not having a conversation about Trinity in the Bible, Trinity in the Tanakh. That's not the conversation we're having. That's the conversation we were supposed to have. We're spending all the time on the Midrash, which Sam doesn't quite understand, I guess.
It's in front of me. Show me where you just said what he said.
The Midrash never speaks and explains itself.
Good.
That's not what a Midrash does.
Okay, good.
It's a total misunderstanding of what a Midrash is.
Okay, can we go back to the first point then? Okay, Josh, let's go back to the first point. You just confirmed what I said, that if I just read...
It sounds like Sam is confused at this point, to the point of he doesn't understand what he's reading, he doesn't understand how to interpret it, but he's trying to impose his understanding on it. You have to understand what it is before you can object to it. Sam needs to understand what Midrash is and how it functions and works before he can object to it, and we're still not Trinity in the Bible.
Without your rabbinic commentary, because you just said to everyone, it's being recorded, that this is not explaining itself. That's exactly my point.
Yes, Midrash doesn't explain itself.
If I don't let your rabbis brainwash me in order not to see what this plainly says, then the plain reading is this.
Does he really literally think that, and the Holy Spirit responds and says, is in Proverbs 3:16? Is that what he's getting hung up about? Because that's not in Proverbs. That's Rabbi Hananiah who's saying that.
The Spirit is a person, not like you and me. I'm not saying he's flesh and blood. Distinct from God, who interacts with God and with Israel. That was my point. I don't need your rabbinic interpretation. I want the plain reading of the text.